So, let me get this straight, yeah? Essentially, you have a water allergy.
Yeah. So
how do you deal with the emotional drainage?
like, it feels like I always say to my family, it feels like I'm playing a game, but no one ever delivered me the rule book.
What about snogging?
When I have these sickness episodes, I sweat profusely. Like, I'm covered in sweat. So throughout a sickness episode, I will be having other allergic reactions.
Because obviously
because of my skin. Who says that me going through pain or having an allergic reaction to wash my face is worth it, but having an allergic reaction for sex isn't? Are you mad? Exactly. It is very much a mystery as to why this has happened to me and what made it happen to me. Where I have a shower, I come out in loads of pain, I itch for hours, I cry, I roll around, and then it goes, and I don't know what it is. You'd be like, what? So on a daily basis, I don't shower every single day simply because I would be dead.
Of course. Be as expressive as you like as well, but I will help you with that part anyway.
Just so you know, I'm a storyteller. Like, you ask me a question, I'm
talking. I love that. That's me. I overshare.
Good. Yeah, trust me.
Sometimes
I'm talking.
I overshare. I think we kind of spoke about this before as well. Especially if I'm interested in someone and he asks me, "How was your day?" Oh, I'm telling them.
Every, like, start to finish.
To bits.
Everything that went wrong.
Yeah. Do you know what, today? So I woke up and then I did this and then flipping.
I stubbed my toe and I cried a bit.
Exactly. I recorded the pod. This is the conversation and then it just all ends up being a whole big
They
thing.
always regret asking.
Yes. Well, do you know what? If they're interested in you more time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think there just gets a point where, like, if you've been with someone for a long period of time, they're just asking you just a quick question, and not every quick question needs to has a long answer.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear that.
So, Niah.
I hadn't even clocked. Have you been calling me that the whole time?
I have.
Is that what you shouted out there?
Yes.
I didn't even realise.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Niah's with us, everyone.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Very good.
Sorry that I've been saying your name wrong this whole time.
That's okay. That's all right. I'll let that slide this time.
Am I the only one?
The only one that gets it wrong?
Yeah.
No, I get Niah. I've had Noah a few times.
Noah?
I get all sorts.
Okay, fair.
But it's Niah. I say, think of your knee.
Okay, think of your knee. And which area are you from, by the way?
From Hastings.
Hastings, yeah. Oh yeah, you did say that to me. And Hastings is where in the country is that?
It's down near, like, Brighton. It's a seaside town, so it's just like a town over from, like, Eastbourne kind of way. But yeah, it's seaside, fishing huts, like, all of that.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, up them sides there. I bet you lot have some mean fish and chips up there, though.
Oh yeah, banging. Come get some.
And you know me, I'm a fish and chips man, you know.
Oh, you have to be. Like,
I
as
didn't have
a
fish and chips
Brit.
for a minute, but Fridays, that was my day for fish and chips. That was me. Fish and chips Friday and that.
I hear you.
And there's one place in Southall, I can't even remember the name of it, yeah, but they do their fish and chips slaps to bits every time. Anyone that knows, well, it's like near the Lady Margaret Road. Big up to all those who know about the Lady Margaret Road fish and chips joint. It's blue and yellow, yeah? Been there for years. They know me when I step in there. They don't know me, but they see me and they just know. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah? But that's me.
The usual, yeah?
The usual, yeah, exactly. Cod and chips. But to be honest with you, I can't really always work out the difference between haddock and chips and cod and chips. I
don't know the difference.
But that shit just looks the same.
It's
There's a
white
difference
fish,
in price.
isn't it? Like, it's just, what's the difference? Like,
there's a difference in price. Yeah, there's a difference in price. And depending on how hungry I am, I just go for the bigger one, which costs the more expensive. Just give me that. You understand what I'm saying?
I want the fat one.
Right.
Fat one.
She's talking about fish.
Yeah, the fish.
Right. Anyway, okay. So let's get straight to this, because we were supposed to do this a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Honourable shout out to Sheila as well, who helped connect the dot again, because this was something I wanted to do from time ago. You'd hit me up ages ago.
Yeah.
But now we're here.
I think I actually had one of my followers commented on your post and was like, "Oh, you should get Niah in because she's got this allergy." And then so shout out to that follower.
That's exactly what happened. So honourable shout out to that, but whoever that is. And I remember the message actually. And so like whoever that is, right now she's beaming.
Yeah, you match made us.
Exactly.
Set this up.
So let me just set this so that everyone kind of understands, because I want to paint a picture here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as of today, you are a lifestyle and beauty content creator, essentially.
Yeah, I would say chronic illness would be like a chronic illness content creator would be like my main title, because I'd say that that's what my main focus is living life with a chronic illness. So that's like the basis of my content, but alongside it I like to do lifestyle and beauty stuff because I like to keep my sense of self very visible through my videos. Like, I'm not just the girl with the water allergy, so I try and sort of diversify my content in that way to kind of cater to everything that I love.
Right. So people that would have just heard you say that would have said, what? And so that was going to be my next part. So let me get this straight. Yeah. Essentially, you have a water allergy.
Yeah. So it's called Aquagenic Pruritus. It's technically classed as a skin condition. But it started when I was a little kid, and I would have like these really random like burning and itching like sensation all over my body after every time I came into contact with water. And it's a very long story about my diagnosis and stuff, but yeah, essentially it translates into water contact on my skin causes an allergic reaction.
We're going to get through everything, and I'm going to go through and overshare.
Yeah, it's a long old story.
No, I want to know. I'm so interested in it. I want to know everything.
Yeah.
As much as possible anyway, yeah. So, and I'm going to split it into sections. So, let's start from you being young, you being a child. When did you realise or notice that something was different about you?
I'd say I was about 5 years old when it started to really... Well, I was born with baby eczema anyway, so like I was literally diagnosed with eczema like the first couple of months of me being alive. It was really, really severe eczema as a child. So I feel that was like an early indication of the fact that I was going to have quite problematic skin, because it was very bad eczema. Like my ears like would peel away from, like I had cuts there like as a baby and stuff. So that's where it started. And then as time went on, like when I was about 5, like I say, I'd start having this intense pain after every like 1 in 10 showers that I'd take. So it wasn't every single time.
It was just like every once in a while.
Yeah, so it was very inconsistent at first. So it was really hard to like pinpoint what was causing it. So at that time, like, because I'd obviously been very like, you know, a regular at the doctors already because of my eczema and the severity of it. Like my mum took me back to the doctors and she was like, you know, that something's wrong when she's having a shower and a bath. Like she's reacting really weirdly to it. And they just kind of said, oh, it's probably the eczema reacting like to the water or whatever, and it's probably just nothing. So they said just try and, you know, remove perfumed soaps from your routine, try and take all of the little things out and kind of just work out if it's any product that you're using that's putting you in pain. And so we did that, and once so it was a process of elimination, really, just sort of changing up my showering routine every time. And then I got to a point where I was using just water and I was still having the allergic reaction. So obviously...
What did that reaction look like as well? So see, like when it was happening, would it happen after you got out and it was like, or as the water was on you, did you feel that burning sensation as the water was on you then? So
it starts within the first 5 minutes of water contact. So if I'm still in the shower after 5 minutes, it will sort of start to... It goes in stages. So it starts off as like a prickly sensation, almost like stinging nettles. Like if you've stung yourself like that, it will start off like prickly, and then it will progress to an itch, but like it adds, so it will be prickling and then the itch will come on top of it and be alongside it at the same time.
Right.
So it's like simultaneous pain, so I'm prickling and itching at the same time, and that'll be for the first like 10 minutes or so, and then after 10 minutes a burn will come into it as well. So then a burning sensation will come from like underneath the skin, and then I'm dealing with the prickling, itching and burning sensation all at once on my whole body, and that will happen within 15 minutes of the initial contact with water.
And how long would it last for? Like then, at that point?
At that point, it was much shorter. I'd say it would last an hour maximum. But at this point in my life, my longest allergic reaction to date has been 4 hours.
Wow.
So it's definitely got worse as time's gone on. So
you went through the process of elimination, and then it got to a point where you just had water, and it still happened. So then what happened then?
So it was a really difficult time, because where it was it still is a really under-researched condition, when we went to the doctors and I said, or my mum said at that, because I was quite young, we think that maybe it's the water that she's having reactions to. They gaslit me majorly. They just said the doctor sat me there and she said, there is no such thing as an allergy to water. Like, it's not possible for you to be allergic to water. So I had that sort of reaction from the doctors for the next like 5 years or so.
Right. So then what was in that 5 years, was you just having to just deal with it?
Yeah, for real. It took me 12 years to eventually get a diagnosis for my condition, because in that time I very much started to believe that it was in my head, because I was being told that it was in my head at the doctors. Every time I went to the doctors, they were saying it's just your eczema. So eventually by my teens, I'd completely convinced myself that it was all in my head, and that it happened, this sort of thing happened to everyone when they had a shower, and that maybe I was just not very good at dealing with it.
Right.
Because
there's so much, like, the eczema is quite common amongst like kids and babies, or even just people anyway.
Yeah, it's really common.
So then I could easily see how you would then just think, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm just the one out of the bunch that isn't able to just deal with it the same way. Yeah,
I thought it was me. Like, your inner voice, like, can be a really kind of like, it can be a bully. And at that time in my life, like, I was very much thinking along the lines of, you're just weak. Like, you can't, you're dealing with something that everyone is going through, but you just can't handle it. Like, because that is the point that the doctors convinced me that it wasn't happening to. Like, I really believed that I was just creating this pain in my head, and that it wasn't actually real and valid. So it was really hard for a long time, because I kind of just dealt with it, hid it from all of my peers, and I wasn't very open with it. Like I didn't tell any of my family members, apart from like my immediate family who lived with me and had to see it. So it was really isolating.
Was you trying to hide it from them as well? Your mum and the people that you lived with?
Luckily, my mum always believed me. Like, I was always lucky enough to have parents who supported what I was going through. Like, there was no like gaslighting from them. Like, even though the doctors were telling me that it wasn't real and it wasn't as bad as I was saying it was, they were witnessing it. So I was lucky that I had a lot of support from my immediate family, and they very much like helped me through it. But I think we all just spent a very long time feeling very confused, like, because we knew that something was going on, but it's just kind of like when you go to the doctors and you don't get any validation, that's really hard.
Because then it feels like there's no escape, innit?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt like I was stuck with it. Like, it took me 12 years in total to get my diagnosis, from the point of, from when I was 5. I didn't get my diagnosis until I was 17 years old. And in that time, I spent probably 6 of those years in denial that it was happening, like just completely just like, no, it can't be as bad as I'm thinking that it is, because the doctors are telling me so. So when I got to the end of those 12 years, like when I got to like my sort of 17 years old, I remember I had this one really defining moment where I had this one shower that was so incredibly painful, like I cannot even explain to you. Like I came out in the most pain that I've ever been in my life. And I would do this often, like I'd often like Google my symptoms and just type in like random things like, my skin itches after I have a shower, or why does water burn my skin? Like I would always type in different variations of it just to see if I could find anything. And that was when, that day after that shower, I found a article about a girl in America. I think she was from Utah, and she'd been diagnosed with aquagenic urticaria. So it's the same thing as my condition, but it's just that she gets visible hives when she has an allergic reaction. So
what's a hive?
So a hive is like a red patch, like a risen, like a welt, like a risen up wet red patch on your skin, to show irritation. But so to explain, urticaria is the word that is used to explain that sort of reaction, where it comes up in like red welts and like you can see that there's a reaction going on the skin. But pruritus, which is my diagnosis, is one that isn't visible. So it's that you can feel the intense burning, you can feel the intense pain of the allergic reaction, but it's not showing anything. It's not red, it's not any of that. So that's the difference between aquagenic urticaria and aquagenic pruritus.
Right, interesting. So stepping back, actually, between 13 and 16, those are like high school years, and like high school can be, secondary school, however you want to say it. Like those years can be like quite brutal. There's like bare things going on. It's like, it's tough, innit?
Yeah.
What kind of friendship group did you have? Was they aware of what was going on, and what was that like?
I hid it very much from like groups of people, because like you say, I didn't want to become that girl. Like if I'd have been known as the girl with the allergy to water at
it would have been a madness.
Oh my god, it would have been game over. Like,
and you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. I am such a sympathetic guy, and
you would have flamed me. I
never liked anyone. Especially girls, being bullied. But I think the jokes would have flown with me.
They write themselves, don't they?
Yeah. That would have flown to bits.
Honestly, I would have been and I knew that. So, and even though I had an inkling of what it was, like this was before I actually had a diagnosis. So I had, bearing in mind, like if I were to tell people about it, I didn't even have a name for the condition.
Right.
So I could be like, how would the conversation go? I'd be like, I have this thing where I have a shower, I come out in loads of pain, I itch for hours, I cry, I roll around, and then it goes, and I don't know what it is. You'd be like, what? Like it doesn't make any sense. So it didn't make sense to me to do up story time with my friends, because it was just kind of like, I don't know I don't have all the information to even tell. So the only person when I was at secondary school that knew was my best friend Lizzie, because we were close enough that she would actually like sort of be round my house, like she'd witness me go take a shower, have to come out and be in pain. So I really just had like I had loads of friends, but I had one friend specifically that knew what was going on and what it was as much as I did.
And at that point it was just showers?
I think so. So yeah, from what I can recall, it was just showers at that point. Yeah, so it's slowly, as time's gone on, like as I've got older, it's very soon after the showers the shower allergic reaction started to happen, it did progress to rain. I remember like a couple years after, I think I was in like, no, I must have been in college when I had my first allergic reaction from the rain. So, you know, I was kind of like, I was like 18. No, how old are you at college? 17?
Yeah, well, yeah, 17, 18.
Yeah, I was like 17. So I think that was when it progressed to rain as well. And then I think about 3 years after that, it started happening with sweat and my own tears as well. So it's
your own tears as well. So see with the, like, see when it was rain, did you know immediately your feet, because it's the same sort of sensation, isn't it?
For real. Like in my gut, I always knew it was the water, because when it's you living it, it's you doing it every day. Like you form the patterns in your head, like you start to recognise what it's connected to. Do you know what I mean? And I worked out pretty early on that it was water. But when obviously I had the professionals sort of fighting against me on that, I kind of didn't want to believe that it was water. But then by that point, I had found that article online, and I had this was when I was 17 years old. I'd found that article online, I'd printed it out about the girl in America, and I took that to my doctors, and that is what actually got the ball rolling to get me my diagnosis. I literally slapped it on the table. I was like, look at this. I was like, you've been telling me that this doesn't exist for 12 years. And I've got a name for it now, so what are you gonna do?
Do you know what? I say this, and I wouldn't say that I'm the greatest when it comes to this, but I would say that when you know, or when you feel that there's something wrong, you actually really just have to keep pushing for it. Because sometimes what we'll do is, and I've done this many of times, where I've gone to the doctors, not well, something's not right. And then ultimately, when I'm going there, I'm looking for some form of confirmation bias, though. Because I don't want anything to be wrong. So the moment that they tell me, no, everything's all right, then I just grab that and I just leave with it. But then you know what?
Skip out all happy.
But then you know, though, but something ain't right, though. Like, something ain't right. And like, it's so important to keep pushing for it, just to see if you can get something definitive. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, you're your own biggest advocate. Like, no one knows your body and how it usually operates better than you. And so then no one's more qualified to detect when it's not working properly than you. So when I went to the doctors, and I was kind of like, I felt like, it was a 12-year period that I was going to the doctors and trying to get this diagnosis. So in that time, like, I was proper kicking and screaming, like, just, there were many, many times where I was so frustrated, because I was just like, give me something, like, please. Like, but it's just, I always knew that there was something wrong, and I just needed that validation, and I got that day from the internet, and luckily I was able to
get the ball rolling. And
then I was then referred on to a specialist here in London, and then that was where I got my diagnosis later on.
Right. So just before I get to that bit, was you ever scared of drinking it? Did you get scared of drinking it when you realized that there was a problem, but there was no name for it? There wasn't a thing, like, no one was giving you a definitive answer on something. Like, what was your relationship like with just even this? So
it was a weird one, because back then, I say back then because it is different now,
of course,
but back then, water, it didn't affect me internally at all. Like, I could drink, like, I was drinking up to like 2 litres of water a day. Like, at that point I was fine. I had noticed early on that it only seemed to be my skin. So that kind of felt quite relieving. Like, I'm a bit of a worrier anyway. Like, I find anything to worry about, but I wasn't worried about it becoming internal, because once I found a name for it, I did a lot of research on it, and I worked out that it is categorized as a skin condition mainly, but there were always like things that said that it can progress to be an internal allergy as you get older, but I kind of just hoped for the best. But I am definitely seeing signs of it becoming internal now.
How much do scientists and doctors and that know about it now, here? Like, and what do you know what's actually happening when this is happening?
So
when water touches your skin?
I'm not 100% sure, simply because they're not 100% sure. So their research into it is really limited, because it's so hard to get a diagnosis. So that's why I talk so openly about it online and about my diagnosis and how long it took me to get it, because I think there's a lot more people out there who are suffering from this than are being recorded. Because obviously if people are getting turned away and gaslit for 12 years like I was, then it's likely that there's lots more people out there who are suffering. But it does, from my experience with the doctors, I was in treatment under the NHS for this condition for 8 years, under the same doctor, and they're very stuck with it. Like, they go treatment wise, like they treat it like an allergy, so they treat it like a histamine based reaction. So they sort of target it same way that they target like hay fever, pollen, all of that. So antihistamines. They've tried me with painkillers. I was on epilepsy medication at one point because they thought that maybe it could be coming from like the pain receptors releasing, like overworking in my brain or something.
This is a bit of criticism, but also I understand that I don't have a solution. But it's like, ain't that a bit dangerous to just be taking a whole bunch of medication and just things?
It's so hard.
Just try a thing. It's
so hard because I'm not gonna lie, like with everything that I've been through medically, I love our NHS. I appreciate them like endlessly. I think they're amazing, but they are so limited in what they can offer because of the funding issues that they have, that they are forced to do a half-assed job of everything. And so it's very much just like, oh, we'll put a plaster over this problem, a plaster over that problem, and they don't want to investigate and find the root of the problem. So I was initially told that it could have been caused by like a hormone imbalance or something like that, just something not right in my body, but it is very much a mystery as to why this has happened to me and what made it happen to me. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought.
No, I was just kind of asking like what's actually happening to the body as well, like the exact, because obviously explained in how it felt, but do they know what is actually happening when the water is touching your skin? They've
just said to me that it's my body sees water as like a poison, so like it's like it reacts in the same way as like a bleach being put on your skin or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's just something that it's trying to protect itself. So the allergic, that's why they say that my hormones may be imbalanced, because it's like my body's confused. It's fighting against something that isn't harmful to it, but my body perceives it as harmful. So I'm not really sure. Like, that's why I'm so lost in the situation, because everything that I understand about this illness is stuff that I've researched and I've looked up and found out myself. Like, it's not from the doctors that are dealing with me,
because it's such a rare thing that they don't come into contact with it that much. So there's literally that's really interesting. So, and then also as well, because what I was mentioning, which you might have had something on, was that I asked you about, like, I was saying that just taking tablets, just taking tablets and stuff just to try a thing is like, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because obviously they don't know, so then obviously they need to try, and it's trial and error, but at the same time it's your body, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think because I was so young, like I was only 17 at the time, so like I was very just sort of like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, I'll do, they know what they're doing, so I'll take whatever they give me, sort of thing. But I think it was like the third year of treatment, they put me gabapentin, which is like a epilepsy medication, and and I swear to God, I lost like a year of my memory from being on that. Like that whole year, I'm lucky that I was a YouTuber during that time, because I have no actual memory of a solid year of that treatment. Like, because I have to go back and look through my camera roll, and I'm like, oh shit, I did that. I did this. Like,
see, when you go back and you look at the picture, by the way, of the video, do you then remember the moment then?
Yeah, I remember it then. It's just like I have really bad brain fog now. Like, it's just like I'm really foggy in my head, and that's just one example. Like, I've been on so many different medications for this, and I've done so many different treatments. I did UV therapy once, which is basically like sunbeds under the NHS, but it's meant to sort of like strengthen the skin and sort of make it more receptive to, like, just stronger and harder almost, so that it's not as sensitive to things like water. And my skin just shed like a snake. Like, I can show you some pictures of it. It's actually disgusting, like shedding layers of skin like a snake. And like the things that I've been through because of the process of just trying to get better, it's ridiculous. And for them to now be at the point, like I've got to the point now with the NHS where they've wiped their hands of me. Like, they've said there's no more we can do. We've diagnosed it as a water allergy, and they don't want to dig any deeper and work out why I'm not responding well to any of the treatments. Like, they just kind of are happy for me to have the allergy to water diagnosis and just let me go and live that way. But
so it's basically, essentially, here's the name for it.
Yeah, go on.
Damn. Like, so then what does treatment look like now?
So I'm in a very funny, like, weird position now, because where I'm at is that I am steadily getting more unwell as time goes on. Like, since they had that conversation, since the NHS kind of had that conversation of, we've got nothing else to offer you, they said it would be a case of me kind of learning to cope with it and finding a way to make it more manageable. But since then, I've had so many extra symptoms crop up. Like, I now have this sickness condition called cyclical vomiting syndrome, where when I get stressed or tired or overexcited, anything really can trigger it. I am sick for up to 18 hours every 5 minutes, like, until I'm hospitalised. I've been hospitalised only once this year, which is pretty good going. But last year, I think I was in hospital like 4 or 5 times with this illness as well.
Was there any like pattern in between the 4, 5 times? Like, was there a specific thing that was going on?
No, nothing specific. It was like, I think it gives me about 3 months in between. So I get like 3 months of being kind of like, I say well, but I mean just not with sickness. And then, so every 3 months roughly, I have a really intense sickness episode. And then I get put in hospital and put on a drip until I'm rehydrated, and then they send me home and things like that. Like, I go through it. I shake all the time. Like, I'm obviously sick to that extent, but I'm sick often anyway, just randomly. I struggle with eating because my pain levels are so high. So when I have allergic reactions, like for up to an hour or so afterwards, like, I have no appetite because I just feel so sick. I get a lot of migraines. Like, it's just endless, and they're just very much like, nah, it's just a water allergy, live with it. And I'm like, it's not a water allergy. Yeah.
There's just so much more to
it. That's how I feel. I just feel like if I've, it doesn't make sense to go through 8 years worth of medical treatment and not respond positively to any of it. I feel like at that point you have to question, are you treating the root of the cause, or are you like, because I don't believe that they are.
Well, no, and I think that is obviously a big problem that we have, is that, and you mentioned it before, is like putting the plaster on things.
Yeah.
And people come up with like all these different conspiracy theories for why they think that might be the case. I don't really know about that, but like, all I know is that it does sometimes feel as though the root isn't always the focus on what, like, on dealing with a solution. It's more of like just constantly taming it. If you can constantly tame it and just get through life, then everything will be all right. But dealing with the root, obviously, in the long term,
they never go for the root of the cause, and I don't see why. Like, it's obviously, you know, it is funding, and it is.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of that. It's a lot of funding, and it's also like there's so many things. You know, like there's so many things. I'm just gonna go off track to come back, but it's like I was even saying this to someone one time where it was like, you see, like, go with me here. You see, like, sex, for example. Like, obviously, the feeling of sex and that can be sensational, and also there can be the biggest blessing of creating life when it comes to that as well. But do you know how many things can go wrong with sex?
Exactly.
Oh my God, you can catch this, that, and this, and lice, and this falls off, and that goes here, and spots there, and this then attacks that, and this on the... It's crazy.
It's a risk every time.
Yeah, there's like so many things. It's like, sometimes you feel like, I mean, the risk is definitely worth the reward, to be honest.
Most times.
Yeah, more time it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? But then it's like, sometimes, you know what? Here's an antibiotic. And like, that might just, on the surface, deal with it. But
calm it down.
Yeah, but from the root aspect, you know, it's a lot bigger than that. It's like, where are these things even coming from in the first place? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly that. I think it's really interesting how many conditions are popping up that we never even knew existed when, like, back in the day. Like, I think part of the reason why it was so hard for me to get my diagnosis is because when you say, like, oh, allergic to water, like, you think, what? Like, that is one of the purest things on earth. It's like saying you're allergic to air or the sun, but all are possible. Like, that I've heard of someone who's allergic to the sun. I have as well. And someone who's allergic to air. And it's just, we are that is
brazy.
Like, terrifying. Honestly, like, I am allergic to water, and I cannot imagine what those people's lives are like. I cannot even imagine. So it's terrifying that some people live like that.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think it's really fascinating that so many things that we thought never would be illnesses that could affect us
actually are.
They're all over. You hear about allergies all over the place, and it's just, I just think it's opened my mind to not write anything off, like, because I have been faced with, shut up, you're allergic to water. Nah, that's not possible. Like, I've had that response so many times that I will never shut someone down again over their illness, because I believe that anything's possible medically now. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's respect to, like, with all due respect to the people that say that, because will be a natural reaction to something that is so rare, but it just comes out of ignorance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What do you mean? No, of course you can't. Like, there's water in your system. There's water in... Do you understand what I'm saying? But how does this... I want to go through, like, in different ways, how it impacts your life. Like, what does an average day look like for you? Or even a week? What does that look like on a decent day?
So, the main thing for me is that I have to take every single day as it comes, because I never know how well I'm going to be. I never know if I'm going to end that day in hospital or what. Like, so I just have to, you know, every day, best foot forward, and I just take it on the best I can. But from when I wake up, like, if you think about it like this, if you think about how many times you come into contact with water in a day, like, from the second that you wake up, like, it's my own water as well. I'm allergic to water from my own body. So from the first thing I do when I wake up, I get up, I go and do a wee, I'm having an allergic reaction straight away. Like, and then...
Because of the splashback?
I guess. Like, no one's explained it to me. Like, they said it's not, like, you know, obviously you don't go to the toilet and, like, piss on yourself. No. Like, so it's not like...
No, but sometimes, obviously, if you're sitting on the thing, let's be clear.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? You know, like, and then sometimes you can get a little...
But then even when it doesn't, like, splash back, like, it's... they say, my doctor said it could be like just the humid environment of the toilet or whatever it is, but for some reason I'm allergic to going to the toilet. So every time I do a wee, my whole like back of my legs, my bum, like where I've sat down, that has an allergic reaction. So that's the start of my day every day.
Wow.
And then the next thing is to go and try, after that allergic reaction will stop, I'll then have to go and get my tablets in me, so that the next thing is that I'm trying to prevent sickness from occurring from the allergic reaction. And then it's time to kind of get something in there to eat. And then after that, it's the next challenge would be for me to have a wash and get myself prepared for the day, get dressed.
How do you do that?
So on a daily basis, I don't shower every single day simply because I would be dead.
Of course.
I would never leave the house. I'd be isolated all the time. So when it's shower day, like I will allocate a whole day for that, and I will do that in the morning. I'll spend the rest of the day recovering and, you know, sort of just laying down and trying to recover from the pain. But on a normal day, when it comes to washing, I've got like a bed bath solution. So like this type of wash solution that they'd use on like old people in care homes and things like that. And it's still water based, like it's still got water in it, but I just can minimize the areas that I'm washing. So it's not like covering my whole body in water. I can just sort of like make sure I wash my armpits and like places that need washing every single day. So then after that, I'd have an allergic reaction in the areas that I've washed and around the areas that I've washed. But it's just very much like my day consists of avoiding obstacles, like constantly. Like if it's a day that I have to leave the house, like I'll have to make sure that I'm prepared for torrential rain to hit whilst I'm out. So I've got a full body rain suit. I've got a blue one and a clear one.
Cold,
yeah.
I mean, not cold like that, as in the style of that.
Absolutely.
Of course, you need to change colours in that.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Switch it up. I'm going for pink next.
All right then.
And yeah, I always have my umbrella with me. Like, and then on the other hand, I always have to have a handheld fan with me because I'm allergic to sweat.
Of course.
Like, I just have to prepare for every possible scenario that could hit me. So it's a long life. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a long life.
You got a relatively small bag today, though, right?
Yeah, I know. I feel like I've compacted it. I've done quite
You've done well. Yeah, I'll see the umbrella in there.
Yeah, I got my umbrella, and also like I got an Uber straight here from my hotel, so I've minimised accidents. Like I'm literally walking out of this door, getting straight in an Uber, going back to my hotel, getting my bag, going to the train station, going home. So I avoid. Like, you won't catch me walking down the street.
Yeah, I hear that.
Hell no.
Yeah. To that, I hear that to bits. So, how do you deal with the emotional drainage?
That's a difficult one because the best I can, I guess. Like, that's all I do. It drains you so much more than you ever expect. Like, from the point of just the actual physical pain that you deal with, having to recover from that, and then dealing with the doctors constantly, that's really emotionally draining. And I'm obviously, we'll talk about this later, but I'm fundraising now for private medical treatment, which is the most emotionally draining thing that I've had to deal with so far, just because it requires such an insane amount of mental and emotional strength. Like, you really have to be your biggest fan. Like, you have to really believe that you can get through it, otherwise you become so when you first get diagnosed with illness, it's really easy, and I'd say it's like the first stage that you hit is to kind of enter into like a victim mode. Like, it's very much a why me? Why isn't this happening to my friends? Like, why isn't it happening to my family? Like, I don't deserve this, that sort of mindset. And I think for the first few years of this illness, I was very much in that mindset. But it's counterproductive. Like, you don't move forward and you don't get better, you don't make progress when you're in that state of mind, because I think it's really important to kind of find the reason as to why something like this is happening to you. So for me, when I got my diagnosis and I was forced out of like a full-time job, and like, I wasn't able to continue with normal life because my life wasn't normal anymore. That's when I started YouTube, and I started to talk about my chronic illness and what I was going through and what my diagnosis process had looked like, simply because it was therapeutic for me at the time. But the more I did it, the more I realised that actually this can be seen one of two ways. Like, I can look at it as a punishment and I can stay in why me mode, or I can see it as a blessing. And I genuinely see it as a blessing now, because I'm in a position where not only can I articulate the feelings that come with this illness and come with being so unwell, but I feel that, so from the point that I started YouTube and from the day that I got diagnosed, really, I feel that the strength that this has kind of instilled in me is so phenomenal. Like, the lessons that I have learned from going through this level of illness at such a young age. Like, you've got to remember, I missed like my early, like, I was allergic to water, and I was unable to consume alcohol by the time, because I'm also allergic to alcohol, by the way, just to add that in there. By the time I was 21. So I've missed out on like my early years of like being a young adult. Like, I was, all the times that my friends were out in the clubs, enjoying lives, going to like, going on girls' holidays, I was at home and ill, and I was having to work out my next step of how to maintain my health. So it's put me in a really different place to everyone my age, because chronic illness does that to you. Like, it forces you to have to, it puts you in a place that you wouldn't usually be in at certain ages. Like, I've had to completely wipe out like all my milestones. Like, it's my 25th birthday next week, and I, in your mind, you kind of have an idea of, by the time I'm 25, I'll have this, I'll have this, I'll have this. But I ain't got none of that, because my life went differently. But now I see it as like, I have gained so much from being unwell, as in I have gained a family, an audience across YouTube. Like, I have managed to help a lot of people get to their diagnoses. I've managed to, make a lot of friends through that. I now, I get a lot of joy out of making my videos and being able to be someone that other unwell people can relate to. And I just think that my mindset now, I'm so resilient and I am so indestructible because of the things that have been thrown at me and the fact that I'm still myself amongst all of it. I just think that I'm invincible. I'm a superhero. Like, that's genuinely how I feel about myself, because I feel that I can deal with anything that life throws at me now, because I've dealt with this water allergy. And for that reason, I see it as a huge blessing, because I don't know who I'd be now without this illness. Like, it has shaped me in so many ways.
Silver linings, isn't it?
For real.
It's silver linings, and I think that, like, by the way, that's amazing.
Thank you.
That you have that outlook and that you've been able to see it from that perspective, because I know that it's not. It can't be easy. I think as well that, like, you mentioned, because I wanted to just go back to when you were saying that, like, your milestones of like what you thought that you might have when you're going to be 25 or whatever. Yeah. Like, I have come to realize anyway, irrespective of like an illness or not, is that like sometimes some of that is just an illusion of what, like, a social construct in which we're taught that when you're this age, this is supposed to happen and that's supposed to happen. But I think it's really important to put out there that it's actually all right, because life doesn't always work like that anyway.
No, absolutely. That's something that we all need to do. We need to unlearn those time scales.
Because those things are what, like, down the line ends up really depressing people, especially like young men as well. Because what sometimes, and I guess it's like different for different people, but it's like, as a young man, you might say to yourself, like when you say to a 16-year-old, what are you gonna have by the time you're 30? In his head, he's gonna be like, I'm a multi-millionaire, I'm gonna drive a Ferrari, I'm gonna have a big house and all of these type of things. And then you get closer to that stage in your life, and yeah, it happens for some people, but for a lot it doesn't, especially at the time that we're in right now. And then you start getting all in your head on like, right, I'm a failure. Yeah. Like I didn't, or I haven't got the best out of life because these things that I thought I would have or that I'm supposed to have at that certain time didn't happen. Yeah. But now it's cool. Like we just have our different journeys. Yeah. And sometimes our journeys are like a complete extreme from what we see as the norm. Yeah. But you know what? Like, the feeling that you may feel, even with like say like having an illness like this, is like, well, not even just having an illness, but just in general, like you're going through all these different emotions and stuff, and it's good to be able to understand them and to sit with them as well, and like not ignore that. You have emotions.
To feel them to work through
100%. And then after that is like, okay, what am I going to do to now get to a next point where I'm not like wallowing in victimism?
Yeah,
do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly that. And I feel that was so important for me, because I could have stayed in victim mode forever. Like I would have been well within my right. Like I'm allergic to water. I could complain for the rest of my life, honestly. But I just feel that I have so much more to contribute to this world than misery. Honestly, like I feel that I have so much positivity that I can pull from this scenario. Like there's so much, like I say, that I've gained and that I've learned. Like it has shaped me in so many ways. Like, I know I said that I see myself as really resilient, but I'm also much more, I'm so much more understanding of others, and in, like you were saying, like that social construct of what we think that our timescale should be. Like it's made me realise that with illness or not, we are kind of like, we're set up to fail by believing something that is not achievable. Like that idea of, when your kids of, I'm going to have my big house, I'm going to be made by the time I'm 30. Like it's not, like you say, always realistic for every person. And I'm so happy and lucky to have had that realisation early on that what I aim for and the goals that I'm setting myself are never going to be on the same level as someone else, like as my peers, because I have to set realistic, achievable goals for myself in order to not feel like a failure all the time. Like you say, like you have to set achievable goals, otherwise you're not going to ever have that feeling of accomplishment. Like and for me it very quickly became that my unachievable goal was working a 9-to-5, because I was having upwards of 7 allergic reactions every single day during a work day, getting no work done. And in the end, I just had to be like, do you know what? I'm not physically capable of doing this anymore. Like I had to be fair to myself and walk away. And when I left my 9-to-5 to start YouTube, it was then that I started to feel more myself, because I realised I was capable, just not of what I was trying to do at that time. I just needed to switch the goalpost, and then I started to feel my sense of accomplishment come back and feel like, okay, yeah, you can do this.
The trick is also as well, like there's a trick where it's like, if I have all of these things and I do all of these type of things by this time, that I'm going to be happy. And that's not the case.
There's always something else.
Yeah.
You get there, you tick off the last thing, and there's always something else.
Exactly. What does a nightmare day look like? Like when you think of a day that has been like a nightmare for you, describe that.
So I had a day recently which was pretty not good. So I went to LA recently in January. I went for a quick holiday because I've got a friend out there who lives there, and he said to me, come meet me, and we'll just link up because he's from London. So I went out to meet him, and on the plane, I had an allergic reaction. Like, it was just a minor one. Just, I think I went to the toilet, I came back, was itching, and I was really uncomfortable. But I didn't really think much of it. Like, I kind of just wrote it out, and just, you know, there wasn't much I could do whilst I was on the plane. And I thought it was fine. But then when I landed, I got it, got through checkout, got my case, got in the car, and got dropped to my hotel. And as soon as I got to my hotel, I started having one of my sickness episodes. So I literally cyclical vomiting syndrome.
Okay, yeah. So that's CSV, CVS, that's it.
CVS, yeah. And so I started having this episode as soon as I got to the hotel, and that was the first literal day of my holiday. I was in bed vomiting into this hotel bin. Like, I had to have a nurse come to the hotel room to put me on a drip to rehydrate. And that was purely like, when I have these sickness episodes, I sweat profusely. Like, I'm covered in sweat. So throughout a sickness episode, I will be having other allergic reactions
because obviously
because of my skin. So, you know, I was so uncomfortable. Like, it was the worst day ever. And I say that it was the worst, like a nightmare day, because I was away from my family. Like, I didn't have my mum near me, and I rely on my mum so much. Like, when I'm ill, my mum can almost like read my eyes. Like, she knows me so well. Like, she knows exactly what I need when I need it. So if I have an allergic reaction and then I feel a sickness episode coming on off the back of it, like, I only have to say like 2 words to my mum and she's on it. She's getting the medication, she's getting what I need, and it will get fixed. But it was the fact that I was alone and I had to deal with it in LA with my mum like on the other end of the phone. And it was just like, it's just the unpredictability of it, is that you think that you can cover all bases. I thought I was so prepared for that trip, and then I still got there, and then the first day I had to have a nurse come and look after me. And it's just like, it's the fact that no day can just go smoothly. Like, even this morning, I woke up this morning, it's gone down a lot now, but I woke up this morning and my face had, like, it was swollen. Like, my eyes were puffy. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what I was allergic to, but I woke up with a big swollen allergic face this morning. So it's just, I constantly just deal with symptoms that I don't understand,
right,
as well as the symptoms that I do constantly have every day from the allergies. And it's just like, it feels like I always say to my family, it feels like I'm playing a game, but no one ever delivered me the rule book, ever. I'm just writing it as I go. Yeah. And
it's almost like a game that like nobody doesn't even really know what like the ending or like where to go, left, right. It's just like, it's a game that's just constantly developing.
Yeah,
and there isn't a rule book.
And all the levels are shit.
Yeah.
Every level's shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say that all the levels are shit, but remember what we was talking about with silver linings and stuff like that. There's other levels where it's like, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it is that, but you know, you found a silver lining, which is a good part of a level in some way.
Absolutely. No, I say that. I say all the levels are shit, but like this level that I'm on now, like I would say that I'm so at peace with who I am now, because when I first was diagnosed, I isolated myself a lot. Like, I really kind of felt that if I kept myself away from my friends and so out of social situations, then maybe I could quickly get better and sort of like hop back in, and no one would ever realise that I'd kind of been ill and gone for years. And then I went through a big breakup at the beginning of last year. Like, it was a 6-year relationship, and it was, you know, it's crazy when something that long comes to an end. And when I went through that, I then started to kind of push myself more to go out and be more in social situations, simply because I was trying to kind of like discover who I was without my ex again. Like, I was trying to discover like, who was Niah before she had this boyfriend and before she had this illness.
You were like, so wait. So you came out of that relationship, just like recently? Last year. And you're going to be 25 this year,
Yeah,
right?
so I was 17.
So you were 17. So in between, 17 and 23-ish?
I was like
you go through so many different changes in like who you are as a person, and like when you're in a relationship with someone, you always want to hope that you like grow together.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't always work like that. There's situations, circumstances, whatever. Sometimes you could grow apart. Sometimes there's just certain things that happen.
Yeah.
But you see, when you look at who you are at 23 or 24, even 25. To who you were when you were 17, you can see that there's like a big change
in like
who you are and like what is around you, innit? So then now coming out of that relationship and then trying to figure out who you are is now like another chapter of a book.
Yeah, it's been
in the book.
Well, so the breakup happened at the beginning of 2022, so I was lucky enough that I had like the whole of last year, like it happened January 2022, so had the whole of last year to just kind of just work on my
new year, new me.
No, but for real it was like I really started to put myself out there socially again. Like I started going to like the pub with my friends, like going out to clubs and stuff, things that I didn't ever do before, simply because I felt like, because I was ill, I just felt in my head like that it was written off. Like I felt like I was exempt from enjoying those sorts of things, because there's just so many things that can go wrong in those situations. Like in a club, someone can barge you, spill their drink over you, and then like over me, and then I'm my night's ruined. But I very quickly kind of got to a point last year where I realised that if I wasn't putting myself out there and if I wasn't trying, I wasn't ever going to succeed, and I wasn't ever going to start like working out what did work for me and what didn't work.
Right.
So last year was really I spent a lot of time like rediscovering myself and trying to find a way to balance maintaining a social life and also not neglecting my illnesses. And I feel like last year I perfected that balance, which is why I say I'm in a good chapter now, because I'm happy. Like I feel like I'm enough of myself and enough of my illness. I'm like 50-50 of each, when before I was like 100% my illness.
I've got two sides to this question here, but what was being in a relationship like while having this illness?
Okay, so I'll start with
from a hindsight perspective now, obviously.
It was difficult, like it was hard, because I was kind of lucky that the relationship started when I had just got my diagnosis, so it was very much like we grew and we learned about my illness together. Like I was learning about it at the same time that he was, so it was quite nice in that sense that I had someone by my side for like the worst of it, like those victim mode years where I was really in turmoil about, I hadn't learned any of the positive lessons from it yet. Like it was really nice to have like moral support in that situation. But I feel that it was really hard for us. Like it was hard for him, as it would be for any one of my partners, like to relate, like because he is an able-bodied person, like he doesn't have any illnesses or disabilities, so he was always capable of so much more than me, and he was constantly having to like sort of come down to my level physically to not sort of like put strain on me, as in like just little things, like he loved to go swimming and I could never be part of that. So our holidays wouldn't be like our holidays that we'd book and, days out, like they'd have to very much be centered around me. I can imagine that probably took like quite a significant toll on his emotions, because it couldn't be 50-50. It's like I feel bad for the fact that like when I get into a relationship, it does kind of become like you're almost like my carer, like in the nicest possible way, like you're a voluntary carer, because there's always the chance that I could fall ill, and if you love me, you're gonna take that upon yourself in it to help me and to assist me. So I can imagine that can be like for me, it was very positive to be in a relationship. But on the other side of it, I can imagine it possibly was, it could be quite draining for the other person.
Yeah. I think, you know what, like, when we get into relationships and stuff like that, yeah, somewhere subconsciously we are like caring for each other. But I think it's different because it's like, it's a physical act that's playing out, and there's possibilities that are so likely to happen that it feels like more of a thing.
Yeah, right? No, I hear that.
Yeah. But like, I guess always, I mean, maybe I live in the idealistic world. It's like, no matter how draining or like difficult it might be at times, like when you really care for someone, it's not really that.
No,
but it still obviously doesn't take away from just the difficulties of like, and especially at a young age as well.
Yeah, for
when
real,
you're young and like you're thinking in your head that life is supposed to be this, that, and whatever, and and you feel limited. It's difficult to maybe understand why life is like that. Then maybe when you lived a little bit more, you see it from a different perspective, right?
Absolutely. I think things are for a season. Like I will not be that person that I was back then forever, because I'm not that person now. Like, I've already changed and grown so much, and in 5 years time, 10 years time, like, I'm sure I will be so different. And so I think your like compatible person like changes as time progresses. Like, someone who might have been your soulmate at 17 isn't going to be your soulmate at 40, right? And that's just not necessarily, anyway. Like, that can be the case in some cases.
Yeah, I think that. I literally just had a conversation with, it's nuts, there are a few of our conversations I've mentioned on the pod before, but literally just yesterday we was talking about like whether true love, like if true love exists, and does it change? So like, is it true love if you met someone and you love them, like this is true love, but then over a period of time you don't necessarily feel that way anymore?
It becomes a companionship, it's different. In there.
It's like, does it exist then? Is that what it really is? And so I'm like, for me, I feel like I've witnessed true love. I definitely have. Not for me, I've not in my life, but through my mum and her husband who's passed away. But I do also think that like the majority of people don't experience that. But I also do think as well that what you was just saying, that sometimes in this life, people are in your life and they match your life for a certain period of time. Absolutely. And then like as time goes on, things just change a little bit. And it doesn't even have to be a bad thing. It's just, you just grow apart. You're just in a different stage in your life. You could be with someone, you can have a relationship with someone from 18 all the way up to like 30. And then you're just not where you once were, and it's just not really, you don't feel this, you love each other but you don't feel the same. And then you can meet someone else now who like that, this is supposed to be the person you're supposed to be with in that next chapter in your life, isn't it? It's a difficult one.
I think true love definitely does exist in the sense that it can last for a lifetime, but I just think that it's so much rarer than we are willing to admit. Like, we all like to believe like, I'll meet my true love, like this will happen to me.
We won't honestly, only a small percentage of us really will.
Because I feel like if you're evolving, like especially like the age that I was just talking about, like from 17 up to 25 like I am next week, like this is such a time of evolution for you as a person. Like, you grow so much during those ages. Like, how can you possibly have someone with you the whole time? Like, I know that does happen.
It happens.
But I just don't feel that you can completely evolve and completely learn who you are going to be with someone attached to you.
I think you can, but I think that you have to have a solid agreement on how you go about doing that, because sometimes that does mean, sometimes it might mean that you got to be over there and I got to be over there.
Oh yeah,
for whatever
for real.
Reason.
It
and
only
you both
works.
got to be on that full same page. And
exactly
most people are not going to be on that to that degree.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, it only works if you're completely on the same page. And that's so rare. Like, how many people do you come across that you're on the complete same page as?
Yeah, it's true.
Like, you clash with people more time. Like, it's not...
What about snogging?
So, on my lips, I'm all right, to be fair. Like, my lips are okay. But, like, if there's, like... You know,
if it starts to get
if it's a messy one,
that's how I sometimes I like to, you know what I mean. I'm one of them man who I'm going all over the joint sometimes, but obviously you can't always overcook it because it just starts to get all mad.
I wanted to talk about this though on here today because I think that this is a question people ask me a lot, is about sex and like how I manage to be intimate when obviously my skin is so reactive to water, sweat, like, so that would include spit and sweat. And it's just like, I don't give a fuck about how much pain I'm in, like, when it comes down to that, because at the end of the day,
Oh, can we spud? Or is it Teggy?
Huh?
Can we spud? Yeah, skip there.
Because at the end of the day, like, I go through pain all day, every day. Like, who says that me going through pain or having an allergic reaction to wash my face is worth it, but having an allergic reaction for sex isn't? Are you mad?
Then. Exactly.
Are you mad? I'll take a big allergic reaction for sex.
Strongly.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Like, what the fuck?
100.
Like,
you know what? So you're telling me that every day, obviously I've got to wash and whatever, and I'm going to go through the madness and whatnot, and then what? I'm just going to... a half an hour or 25-minute slams, I'm going to just say no to.
Exactly.
Because of, you know what? I'll take that one.
Exactly.
To bits.
I say, like, I put a fan on, just point a fan at me.
Yes.
Like, keep me cool, keep the body temperature down, and then I'm going in. Like, sorry, I deserve...
What, on tops and all of that?
Yes, I deserve enjoyment in this life. The passion that came out then, I meant that. No, but I just feel
you gotta like not spend too much time there though. On the tops vibes.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've got a good excuse to give up early. Do you know what I mean?
To be honest with you, hear what I'm saying, yeah? Do you know why you're alright with that? Because let's be clear, most women don't have 5 minutes on tops anyway. Like normal. Most don't. Yeah. After a few minutes, cardio's through gone. Like a gym woman may be able to thing, but like that's if she's cardio gymming. If she's not cardio gymming and she's just doing glutes, like she might be able to position, but in terms of like minutes,
like,
there's not much minutes in the tank like that anyway. So to be fair, what you're providing on tops is just normal compared to most anyways.
And I'm not gonna lie, like I feel that with what I go through, like as everyone does, like I like sex. I'm a very sexual being. Like I feel that I deserve to enjoy. Like I deserve to have that feeling of being in control and being empowered. Do you know what I mean? Like it's the same way. Like who wants to just lay on their back and be like?
Also, what are you quite dominating?
Not really.
If you don't mind me asking.
You could say so, but I think it comes from like I have such a lack of control over my life.
Right.
So.
Gotta make up for it.
Yeah, you gotta make it right.
I'm putting in a performance. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't have a lot of fun. Like, so if this is a moment of enjoyment for me, like I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to make sure that I feel good about it. And I want to come out of that situation feeling like a bad bitch. And
so, right then, because as well, you know what? Like, really, as well, if you are doing it and there might be a reaction afterwards, you might as well have just went ham. There's no point just just doing a mediocre vibes and whatnot to have a reaction.
Literally.
You might as well come out of that on a vibe of, you know what, it's semi worth it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. I've had that before, like where it's like shit sex and then I'm still having an allergic reaction.
Tell me how annoying that must be.
Fuming. Like that is actually so unfair. Are you joking? You're telling me I'm in pain and it wasn't even good.
It was whack.
Honestly, like it's got to go down like someone's watching. Like it has to.
I hear that. I definitely hear that. So what is dating like now anyway?
I I'm not really focused on it. Like it's been a weird one since, because I was in such a long relationship. Obviously, it was 6 years. That was such a, like I said before, like such a period such a period of growth in terms of like the age frame, that I feel just free now. Like after my breakup last year, like the whole of last year, it was just very much like, oh my God, I'm free. And then now I'm like, I'm not really dating. Like I go out for a dinner here and there, but I need someone who's going to add something so positive to my life. Like I don't need anything else that is going to bring me down or cause me to feel negative, because I've just got so much of my own shit to deal with. So I'm in a place where I'm so happy right now with myself and who I am. I'm almost like a bit reluctant to attach myself to someone else again, because I've just got myself back as Niah, like just Niah. So I feel that I'm enjoying being single right now. So dating is very much like
on the back burner.
On the back burner. But when it's time, like I say, I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to enjoy because I deserve to.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. You said it best anyway. It's like you deserve it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we all deserve enjoyment in it, and like
exactly.
in so many different forms: holidays, friendships, going places, excursions, maybe even like food. And sex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like I say, I've deprived myself of all of those things for so long. Like when I was first diagnosed, I was so isolated, I was so depressed that it just feels like I've just walked out into the world and seen it for the first time again, because I can now that I accept that I am this person who has this illness and it isn't going away, I am not afraid to show up and be that person. Like I will walk into any room with a rain suit on now, like with my drip, like because I'm me. I know why I'm doing it, and if anyone wants to ask me, I'll explain it. But I have never had such a level of like deep acceptance of myself, like especially with this illness. And because like I say, I was in denial for such a long time, and I thought it was in my head for such a long time, that's what is so important to me now, is like showing people online through my videos and through my content that it's possible to maintain your sense of self amongst your illness. Like you can still have all of these traits and these qualities that you had before your illness came, still shine through and still be really like defining qualities of yours, like alongside that illness. Like it doesn't have to just be, I'm ill now so I stay at home.
No, facts.
Like,
talk to me about the fundraising that you're doing.
So the fundraiser is, like I said about the NHS, I've come to the end of the road with my treatment journey with the NHS. So got to my last appointment that I had with them was in 2020, and they said to me, there's nothing else we can do. You just need to find a way to live with this comfortably, whatever that means. Like, I don't know how that's possible. So before the NHS let me go, they had run blood tests for a condition called polycythemia vera, which is a blood cancer which can cause these types of symptoms. And it came back, it said that I didn't have it. But I found a doctor in Germany who works at the University of Münster in Germany, and he is more like, he's really familiar with dealing with this with this illness. They specialise in pruritus, the exact type of itch that I suffer from. And I went for a consultation in Germany in 2021 it was now, and they said to me that they are very worried that it could be being caused by this type of blood cancer that the NHS haven't found.
Right.
So the doctor in Germany explained to me that the type of blood cancer it can hide away from the blood tests for quite a few years before it's picked up. It can be up to 5 years. It can be sort of like just not picked up on blood tests. So the NHS won't keep testing me for this, even though my symptoms are getting worse. They can't keep running these blood tests because they've checked it once and they've gone, nah, you don't have cancer, you're fine. But the doctor in Germany believes that because of the severity of the symptoms and how steadily my symptoms are multiplying, he believes that something more serious like blood cancer could be the underlying root of the cause. There's a few other things that it could be, like he said it could be like hepatitis B, or there's quite a few different things that it could be, but there's a long process now of me handing over my medical situation, my medical care completely to Germany, because they will actually investigate the situation to the depths that I need them to in order to actually treat the cause and hopefully improve my symptoms in some way, whatever that may be. So it's really difficult because it's all a big what if, because I am at the stage where I'm waiting to go back to Germany when I have enough funds to pay for the cancer treatment, if that's what it is.
Right.
So that's what they've said to me. They've said, in an ideal world, when you come back for your testing and diagnosis, if at that point we diagnose you with this blood cancer or whatever, any other root of the cause other than just the water allergy diagnosis that you already have, then you need to have the money there to get treatment.
Right.
Like, they wouldn't be able to like just send me home with this blood cancer sort of thing. They want me to have the money ready so that I can stay in hospital and be treated
right.
there.
How much?
So it's very expensive. Like, I don't know how much you know about like private medical costs, but
in this country I know it's expensive for sure.
It's so scary. But my first consultation, so just like a sit down face to face in the room, I think it lasted about 25 minutes. That cost €800.
Thousand skirt, bro.
My testing and diagnosis stay, so that is going to be a 5-day stay in the hospital where they obviously do whatever tests they need to do to find out if it's the blood cancer we're dealing with or if it's something else. That's costing €6,200. And it's going to go on like that. So so far I've raised over £20,000, which I'm so proud of. Like, I'm so grateful that through social media I've been able to raise that much money. But they have told me that I shouldn't think about coming back until I've got about 50k to sort of enable me to stay and almost like relocate to Germany if that's what they need me to do. So if I need to stay in the hospital, the money's got to be there so that because I can't be like, wait a minute, go back online,
do a little bit and then
I can't be doing that. So it's a difficult one because I've kind of been turned away from Germany with like this big question mark over the big C word, and then I've just got to like,
you just got to go
just got to find the cash now, money. Like,
you know what? I'm supporting that. I'm supporting that, and like the link to that is in the description.
Thank you.
And it's on the screen right now as well. But yeah, the link will be in the description anyway. So listen, you know, no one is obliged. No one is obliged. This is the first time I'm hearing this as well. But like, if whatever, even if it's just every little helps in it.
Anything
every little helps in it. So don't feel like you got to go in there and do a madness if you can't afford to do that. But any little help. So yeah, please.
Plus, times are hard right now as well, and like,
it's understandable.
The situation that we're in, like, obviously I'm a content creator anyway, so even if you're unable to donate like physical funds to the GoFundMe, like, you can help me out just by watching my TikTok videos, like by watching my YouTube videos, like just streaming my stuff. Like, it does all contribute towards the medical care. So you know, if you don't actually want to give a donation itself, like, I appreciate anything and everything that you contribute towards even hearing my story. Like, the fact that you guys are listening to this right now helps me. I
appreciate you coming by.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me.
And sharing your story and stuff like that. Honourable shout out to your family, especially your mum as well. Mumsy. It must be like very... when you talked about going to LA... no matter how cool and composed that she probably was about it, I'm sure she was like very, very apprehensive and nervous about going in. She probably lives with that quite a lot.
Yeah,
because no matter how old you get, you're her baby.
Yeah, for
real. Do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I always need my mum. Like, I, as an ill person, like everyone knows, isn't it? Like when you got a flu, who are you calling?
Yeah, it's mum.
You're calling mum. Like, because mum knows what to do every time. So when I'm ill, like obviously every single day, the one thing that I like to always have there, like just my permanent object, is my mum. Like she's there, and as long as she's there, then I know I'm safe.
And that's the hard part about being away and being sick, because you're away from your comfort, and like sometimes the comfort is not even just about the bed, it's the voice.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the aura.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I spent so much time on the phone to my mum that holiday, I swear to you.
Yeah, I bet.
But
did you get to go out and stuff though in the end?
A few. Do you know what? I didn't get to try In and Out.
Oh, because In and Out burgers slaps.
Because I was sick. Like I had no appetite the next day, so I ordered a Popeyes, and I was eating this Popeyes, and it was like cardboard. Like I hated it, and I was thinking, do you know what? Like I've got to go home. Like there's no point me being here. Like if I can't eat, what's the point?
Yeah,
like,
I hear that, because that's part of the experience, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
it really ruined it. Like it really did. But it was a good experience, and like I say, like with the fundraising journey that I'm on, like that was a trip that I took to kind of spread my story out there and sort of tell people about what's going on. So
have you met anyone else that have like?
Not in person, I haven't. I've had a few people kind of reach me by DMs and stuff like that, but I'd love to have a link up, have a water allergy link up, and create like a group of friends that get me.
So, and see, like the people that do reach out, are they not in the are they just in various different parts of the world?
I've had a lot of Americans reach out, but I guess it's just because the size of America, like I guess it's just like the population, like there's going to be more people there that are suffering, so it happens a lot in America. But there's quite a few people here as well in the UK, but it really varies. But one thing I have read online is that they say that it's more common, or seems to be more common, amongst mixed race people, which I think that's really interesting. Primarily mixed with Nigerian, which I am.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's it's something to do with, it seems to get Nigerians a lot more than any other race.
That is really, really, really interesting.
It is, isn't it? But I haven't done like enough research into it myself, but that's what is on like the medical research, the official medical research for the condition.
I'd love to learn more about that, and if there is anyone that can help me or even us understand that aspect of it, like I'm more than willing to hear it and to see.
I'm intrigued.
Really intrigued. Well, listen, thanks though, and I'd love to have you back again, though.
Yeah, it'd be really nice.
You know, it'd be good to just check up on you again in like, you know, maybe half a year or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be back. Try and get rid of me.
Nah. Is there anything that anyone needs to know about, by the way? So it can be anything. It could be a book you've read. It could be a documentary. It could be a film. It could be a garment. Like it could be anything. Anything. Have you seen anything recently that people need to know about?
What I will do is I'm going to self-promo slightly.
Go for it.
So, I of course make videos on YouTube teaching people how I deal with my condition and how I face life with my condition. So I have a lot of advice and a lot of product recommendations and things like that on my YouTube, but I'm actually taking a slight step away from YouTube at the moment because I'm starting to write.
Okay.
So I've been writing a few different books. I'm starting some projects, so I will be releasing a book next year.
Cold.
And I will want you guys to keep your eyes out for that, because it is aimed at, I don't want to give away the name, but it's aimed at achieving things after you get a medical diagnosis and staying, you know, still elevating and moving forward despite the illness. So I think, you know, anyone dealing with chronic illness in any way, I feel like it would really appeal to them.
Okay, sick. So
give me a follow.
Well, yeah, I will do. And also, just keep me updated and let me know what you're doing in regards to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll come on here and talk about the book.
Yeah, come on. All right, listen, love. Niah?
Thank you for having me. Yes, Niah.
Yeah. Thanks for coming through. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Yeah? Love.